"Oh, is it true you've bought a house? If so, I'd be interested in living with you." Suddenly, my mother-in-law made such a crazy suggestion on the phone. She probably heard about our new house from my husband. I could hear my sister-in-law laughing in the background. Does she think I can't hear her laughing? Honestly, I don't want to live with my mother-in-law and the others. I thought my husband felt the same way. However, now that they know about our house, maybe they think we'll all live together. The thought that my husband might be agreeing with them worries me a bit, but I don't plan to go along with their plans. Are they trying to manipulate me? If that's their plan, I'll turn the tables. After all the hard times I faced, I've promised myself revenge against them. My name is Callie Brooke. I'm 33 years old and work at a big financial company. I married my husband, James, 4 years ago. We don't have kids yet for a good reason, a decision we both take seriously. James and I are focused on our careers, working hard to get ahead. Once we're more settled in our jobs, we plan to build our home and make a good place to raise kids. We've decided to think about having kids once our careers are more stable. This was a serious decision, sharing our true feelings and thoughts. We do want kids someday. Now, as we get ready for that, I remember all the struggles I've had. Then one day, I completed a big project at work and got a promotion. My salary was good, but the promotion made things even better. Meanwhile, James also got a big raise for his years of work. With both our incomes going up, I felt it was time to make our dream of building our own home a reality. I brought up the topic with James. "James, I want to talk to you. Over the past year, both of us have had stable incomes. I think it might be time to consider getting our own home. What do you think? Is it time already?" James sounded excited. "Actually, I've been thinking about it too. But since I haven't been promoted yet, I felt a bit hesitant to bring it up." "Don't worry about that. It's not like only one of us needs to earn money. I was thinking it might be okay to build our home in my name." "Really? Well, you do earn more now. If you're okay with it, let's build our home in your name." "All right, let's do that. Let's go see some model houses on our next day off." "Sounds great. Let's go. We shouldn't miss this opportunity." I really feel grateful for choosing James at times like this, as we share the same values. The following week, we made an appointment to view model homes as planned. We looked at various types of houses, expanding our vision for our own home. On weekends, we began creating simple floor plans together, researching online. During a recent visit to a construction company, they suggested that instead of leaving everything to them, it's better if we create our own image for a more satisfying home. So James and I started building that image. However, neither of us has much knowledge of architecture or design. Even with research, it takes time to put it into practice. While taking breaks, we continued working. Then the doorbell rang. I thought it was a delivery, but when I opened the door, my mother-in-law was standing there unexpectedly. "Ha, Mother, what brings you here so suddenly like this?" My mother-in-law sometimes visits our place without notice. She glared at me and, without a word, took off her shoes and went to the house on her own. "I'm here, James." "Ha, Mom, what's up?" James was surprised by his mother's visit. "Did you have some business around here?" James asked his mother, who looked a bit perplexed. "Yes, I told Callie about it over the phone a little while ago, but it seems James didn't know." "I see, maybe Callie forgot to tell me." "That's not true, Mom. It's not forgetfulness. Callie is incredibly busy with work, and at the same time, she takes care of the household. Her mind is always full of things to do." "You're such a kind boy, James. If your late father were here, he definitely wouldn't have forgiven that. I really respect Callie a lot." "So, Mom, why did you come here today?" James asked his mother. She smiled happily, then pulled out a travel brochure from her bag, opened it to a page marked with a post-it note, and placed it on the table. "Listen, James, I've always wanted to go to Niagara Falls State Park. Won't you take me, please?" My mother-in-law suddenly made this request, catching both James and me by surprise. We just stared at her, shocked. My mother-in-law kept pushing James, who was clearly overwhelmed. "Come on, James, you agree, right? Think of it as showing respect and caring for your mom." "Wait a minute, Mom. It's difficult if you suddenly say you want to go on a trip, though you can come too. Actually, I was thinking of going with Martha, but if James wants to, I'd be happy to make it a family trip. Martha is James's sister." "What are you talking about? Callie is here, and I can't take time off work. But isn't it odd for me to pay for a trip for you and my sister?" "Not strange at all. Spending money on the family is a wonderful thing. Don't you think so, Callie?" She suddenly turned to me, seeking my agreement. Though taken aback, I firmly expressed my opinion. Using one's own money for family isn't bad, but forcing it on others is different. "What do you mean by that? Are you saying I'm trying to extort travel money from James?" "I didn't mean to put it so harshly, but listening to you, it sounded like you just wanted us to pay for the trip." "Callie, that's terrible. I had no such intention, but you're making me out to be the villain in front of James. I'm so shocked." "That's not what I meant. I didn't mean to call you a villain. I just answered honestly to what was asked." Okay, no need for excuses, Kelly. Why are you so heartless? You must not like me." My mother-in-law, visibly upset, glared at me with cold eyes. It always turns out like this when she visits. She always finds some reason to ask for money and then spends it with Martha. While spending money on the family sounds nice, what my mother-in-law does is practically extortion. The situation is different when James gives them money out of kindness. Even though they are family, I never really liked James's bold mother and sister. According to James, they became selfish after his father passed away. James's father died when James was in high school. Back then, the father took care of the finances. After he died, there was no one to oversee the spending, and they even used up the life insurance money freely. Martha, James's sister, only works part-time, so her salary is low, and they are always struggling financially. That's why she often comes to our house with excuses like life is tough, or she wants to travel to relax, but really she's trying to get money from James. Before marrying James, it seemed like he couldn't say no to his mother's constant demands. Especially after his father died, he felt he owed her because she took care of him. But since marrying me, James has started to see their true nature. Even though they often ask for money, he's been trying hard to say no lately. For James, that's a big step forward. He has even started to speak up firmly to his mother. When his mother spitefully said things like, "You don't like me, do you?" or "Why should I tolerate such an uncharming daughter-in-law?" James stood up for me. "Just because you're my mom doesn't mean you can speak badly of Kelly. Didn't Kelly just answer your question?" "You're taking Kelly's side. What are you talking about?" "I think you're wrong here, Mom. That's so unfair. Surely Kelly must have turned you against me. Poor thing, you were such a kind child before we got married." "No, Mom, that's not it. I'm saying this because I truly believe it." James's firm response surprised my mother-in-law, who wasn't used to being challenged like that. Frustrated and biting her lower lip, she said, "Fine," and left. "Kelly, I'm sorry. I always make you feel uncomfortable, don't I?" "No, it's okay. You stood up for us this time. Once we build our own home, we'll be further away. Let's not interact with Mom and then. Yeah, that would be a relief. If you're okay with it, Kelly, I'm grateful. The place we're considering for our new home is quite far from our current apartment and will make getting to both of our workplaces easier. Our current apartment is about 5 train stations away from James's parents' home, but the new house will be 3 times farther and will require transfers. The route from the station is also complicated, so if we don't give them the address, they won't be able to find our new home. It's a good chance to cleanly break off our relationship with my mother-in-law. Later, We submitted our imagined floor plan to the construction company, and construction started 3 months later. After about half a year, our $700,000 dream home was completed. We managed to squeeze some time from our busy work schedules to pack a few days before the move. I received a call from my mother-in-law on my smartphone. Busy packing, I turned on the speaker and answered, "Hello." My mother-in-law started speaking in an unusually high-pitched voice. "Kelly, when are you moving? You bought a house, right? I want to live with you." Suddenly, on the phone, my mother-in-law began to say such an outrageous thing. She must have heard about our new home purchase from James. I could hear Martha, my sister-in-law, chuckling in the background. "That's great. We can make Kelly work for us every day." "Mom, you came up with a good idea." Martha joined in. Did they think their words weren't reaching me? It's clear they plan to piggyback on our move. I imagine them planning to use me for an easy life. Honestly, I have no intention of living with them. I thought James felt the same, but telling them about the new house, could it be that they're assuming we'll live together? The thought that my beloved James might be in league with them fills me with a bit of fear, but I have no intention of letting them have their way. They're probably trying to use me, right? If that's how they want to play it, I'll just turn their tactics around on them. I casually told them the date of our move. Following that, my mother-in-law and Martha said they'd come over to our apartment in the afternoon on that day. They wanted a ride in our car and even asked us to arrange the movers for them too. They hung up right after making their demands, but obviously I had no intention of following through. First, I needed to talk to James about it. As I turned to find James, he was already standing behind me. "James, you were there. I was just coming to say we should take a break. Was that your mom on the phone just now?" "Yeah, I was going to talk to you about it too." James replied, "Why did you tell your mother about our new home?" "It wasn't exactly like that. Last time Mom came over, she saw the floor plan for our new house lying around. She's been pestering me about it every day, so I ended up telling her a bit more than I intended. I'm really sorry, Kelly." "So you don't plan to live with your mother, right?" "Of course not. After overhearing that phone call, I'm even more convinced that we should cut ties with her." James looked angrier than I had ever seen him. He explained that his mother had seen the layout of our new home and assumed it was quite spacious. She had feigned interest, pestering him with calls asking about the number of rooms and details of the facilities, but it was clear James was on my side, which was a huge relief. There's no problem then. This strengthened my resolve to stand up to my mother-in-law. I was tired of her having free rein to say whatever she wanted. It was time to put an end to that behavior. I was determined to handle this situation properly once and for all. When the day of the move came, James and I had the movers transport our belongings in the morning, and we drove to our new home. By the time we had moved everything in, it was past 2:00 p.m. We took a break and checked our phones, noticing dozens of missed calls from my mother-in-law. "She also called me," James said, sounding exhausted. Then, as if on cue, my mother-in-law called again. I answered, putting her on speakerphone. "Hello. Hello, Kelly. Where are you?" "I told you I'd be at the apartment this afternoon, didn't I?" "Yes, you did say that," I responded calmly. "So, what can I do for you?" "What do you mean you didn't arrange for the movers?" "I've been waiting at home and not a single truck has shown up, so I had to go to your apartment myself." "Is that so?" "Well, that's too bad." My response was nonchalant, signaling that her attempts to manipulate us weren't going to work anymore. I hadn't arranged for any movers. "What? That's not the agreement. Where is your new house?" she demanded, clearly taken aback. "Do you really think I'd tell you?" I responded firmly. My mother-in-law uttered a shocked, "Ha!" She probably thought that as long as James was around, she could manipulate the situation to her advantage. But James has changed. He's now my steadfast ally as we try to sever the unhealthy ties with his family. Feeling a surge of determination, I spoke up clearly. Just to let you know, neither James nor I intend to live with you two from now on. Please don't involve yourselves in our lives anymore. What are you saying? Your opinion doesn't matter here. It's up to James to decide. At least tell me where the new house is, she insisted. How are you going to get here without even knowing the address? This house is in my name. I have the right to decide who lives here. If you two just barge in, it's trespassing, and I'll take legal action if necessary. Trespassing? How dare you say that about your husband's family? At that point, James intervened, his voice assertive and detached. Family? My father, who is indeed a family member, is gone, isn't he? What are you saying, James? She asked, clearly rattled. After that last phone call, I'm utterly fed up with you both. Just having a blood relation with you is embarrassing. From now on, my family consists only of Matthew and Kelly. I no longer consider you two as my family. Wait, James, don't say such harsh things. Don't bother us again, understood? James said firmly. With that, James ended the call without waiting for a reply and immediately set his phone to blocker calls. Hey, James, are you really okay with this? I asked, concerned about how decisive he had been. Yeah, James replied, his voice steady but tired. I finally realized that Mom was just using me for her own advantage. It's time to stop letting her control our lives. Liv, I feel completely relieved now. Seeing James genuinely refreshed and fully embracing his decision has only added to my peace of mind. His conviction in severing ties was strong, and it reflected a pivotal moment in our relationship. A moment where we collectively decided to cut off the negative influences that his mother and sister had become. This decision has dramatically reshaped not just our lives, but theirs as well. James ceased all financial support, leaving them to reconsider their approach to daily life. Without James's financial backup, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law found themselves in a precarious position. They were suddenly thrust into a reality where they had to fend for themselves, something they hadn't anticipated. My sister-in-law, who had been relying on part-time jobs for income, found it difficult to cover all her expenses on such erratic earnings. The situation became dire enough that even my mother-in-law, who had spent most of her life as a housewife, was compelled to enter the workforce. Returning to work after such a long hiatus was no small challenge for her. Accustomed to the comfort of her home, she struggled to adapt to the demands and pace of a work environment. Her inexperience and lack of recent work history did her no favors, leading to many awkward and often embarrassing moments at work. She found it difficult to perform tasks that her colleagues did effortlessly, leading to frustration not only for her, but also for those around her. This often resulted in her being somewhat disliked at her workplace, adding to the stress of her new reality. Back in our world, James and I were building a peaceful life in our new home. The absence of sudden, unannounced visits from my mother-in-law was a relief we had long sought. Our home became our sanctuary, a place of tranquility far removed from the previous chaos that had so often disrupted our peace. Living without the constant stress of familial interference, we felt liberated and truly stress-free. I am endlessly grateful for James's courage and unwavering support. His decision to stand by me and prioritize our well-being over familial obligations was a testament to the strength of our bond. As we move forward, I know we may encounter other challenges, but the trust and mutual respect we've cultivated give me confidence. With James by my side, I believe we can face anything together. We are committed to supporting each other through all of life's ups and downs, walking hand in hand with the assurance that we can overcome whatever obstacles may come our way. This new chapter of our lives, free from the shadows of toxic relationships, promises not only growth, but also a deeper appreciation for the peace we fought so hard to achieve.